dicono, immagini riflesse che poi sfumano, che cambiano, stagioni che impazziscono, e piacevano.
You're in Milan, you have this huge cosmopolitan city, and then here's this beautiful architecture of a building that's the Università Cattolica.
We have the opportunity to study in a historical place. There's beautiful columns all over campus.
And when you walk through the corridors, you have this grass patio and all the beautiful small details which you can see. You kind of like live and breathe the Cattolica University when you're here.
The amount of friends you make here is phenomenal. I mean, everyone here is open to meeting new people, especially the international students, because everyone's here to experience something amazing.
I think the teachers and the professors are very helpful, and they also have authority that I really like. You want to listen to them. You know that they're experienced, and I've been learning a lot being here.
They are so friendly, the professors. After class, you can go and interact with them. If you had any problem, they'll always be willing to help you.
Here, most of the classes are roughly 20 to 30 people. So they're quite intimate, they're quite open to discussion with the teachers.
Faculty and staff are the most helpful people I've ever seen in a student office before. It's literally, they will help you every step of the way, take you from one office to the next and beyond until you get everything you need. Coming to Italy, there's no way I would have been able to do that on my own without someone guiding me along the way.
We help international students in finding accommodation with their visa or looking for academic courses.
We have, I believe, more than 100 nationalities. Now, that has really good effects for both the student and for us as staff members.
I
think Italian people really know how to enjoy life.
You know, if something's happening here in Italy, it's definitely happening here in Milan.
Talk to locals and learn from them and really live the Italian lifestyle.
It's a great university. I mean, it's in the heart of the city, and around here you have tons of cafes, tons of restaurants, shopping experiences.
I love Milan. It's amazing city.
You have a great location and a great university all in one.
Cattolica is the university. I don't want to leave. It's incredible. It really is. I mean, just do it. Yeah.
Great. Welcome everybody to this webinar where you already saw a little bit of an introduction, how it is to live in Milan, and maybe it could be you or any of the other campuses, I believe, as well, from Università Cattolica the Sacre Cuore. Now we will go over to the presenters that we have lined up for you in just a minute, just to briefly explain to everyone all the interactive options we have available for both people that are watching live, but also the people that are maybe watching the recording. I'm the moderator of today. My name is Luc Mulling, and I will all guide you through this. First of all, you can ask questions at any time. So we'd like to hear, of course, any questions you may have. You can do that through the panel called Questions at the right bottom. And then we will be answering these at the end. Also great already to see that people have joined in from different parts of the world. By all means, say hi and where you're from through the chat. So great to see that already a lot of people from, well, I see Spain, Mexico, Portugal, different countries already joining in. Greece, Syria, great, all of you, welcome. And yeah, we like to interact with you as much as possible. Because we have some more options, we also will open up polling questions Actually, there's one already open, and we will do more pollings throughout the session, also to get to know you a little bit more and to see your interest. And last but not least, we also have a react button at the bottom. And that's where you can react, since we don't see you, but we like to hear, of course, a bit of your reactions. So you can click on that exactly to give a thumbs up, just to get us going and to have a little bit more fun in the session. So by all means, give us some of those nice remarks and feedbacks. All right, without further ado, we're going to start with the introduction of the presenters. I will pass it on to Aisha. She's the student recruitment advisor, and she will introduce herself and the rest of the panel. Good luck.
Thank you. Grazie, Luc. And given exactly what an incredibly global audience we have, if I want to stay local and say ciao, then ciao, but otherwise it's a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. As Luc said, my name is Aisha Pathak, and I am Cattolica's International Recruitment Office team member. So myself and my colleagues are probably going to be your first point of contact. I know some of you have even already applied, so you've been in touch with us, but we're your certainly your guiding lights whilst you explore and approach Cattolica. I hope you're all sat very comfortably, because over the next half an hour or so, my challenge is to get you fully absorbed in a very, what I hope is going to be an engaging and lively discussion focused on scratching beneath the surface of having a real deep analytical, critical reflection on why Italy for an agribusiness postgraduate program, why Cattolica amongst the several universities, all very good in Italy, what are the driving factors behind the curriculum of each of the program, and best of all, hearing straight from current students on the programs. And as Luc said, we want to hear questions, because the advantage of being live is not to have to wait around for email replies. So if you do have questions, so as these guys speak, make sure you're not shy and shoot us those questions. So who are these students? Let's have a meet the speakers moment. Let me just struggling to put forward. There we go. All right. Okay, so first off, we have Adriana. She's a current student from Mozambique and on the Agriculture and Food Economics program. Adriana, just want to say hi.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Adriana. We'll be certainly hearing from you in a little bit. Next up, we have an Italian student, Leonardo, currently on our food processing program. Leo.
Hi, guys.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Erin, a current student on sustainable viticulture and enology from the United States, a popular country on the program. Erin.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks for saying hi, folks. So you're definitely going to be hearing a good discussion, and you can ask these students questions too. All right. So why don't we start with a macro context? All of you following this webinar have clearly understood the centrality of the agriculture and food sector, right? Because you are either studying it, you've already just recently graduated, maybe you're already working in it. However, I did think it's useful to take a step back and reflect on three key factors that are propelling the agribusiness industry forward so fast and with such an urgency today. I feel this both reassures and in a way inspires any graduate student in understanding really how much potential and what need there is across the world for professionals in the sector, and why invest in higher education in these sectors at postgraduate level. Reports by the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations and by EAT Lancet Commission warn us that, sad news, there's not enough food for everyone by 2050. We're expected to be about 10 billion people. The way we are currently producing and consuming food is anything but sustainable. We're really pushing the planet to the limit. Now, the need to produce food sustainably is not an option, as well as to process foods. Discourses of this, if you think recently, were also at the basis of COP26 in Glasgow, and is an integral point of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. So we need professionals to help answer these challenges. It's incredibly relevant on the market. The other thing is, it might be obvious, but no one actually thinks about it from a certain perspective, the centrality of food. We all know that we can survive without a luxury watch, we can survive without clothes, you can arguably even survive without a house, a roof over your head, but you cannot stay without food. I find it fascinating over the last 2 years with a pandemic, a global pandemic, it's something that's become even more obvious. Despite the rain, the sunshine, the ice that maybe you faced, we all queued up for hours outside supermarkets. And we dedicated ourselves to maybe exploring organic food. We decided to focus more on cooking, on sustainable food and origins, tracking all of that. And even when in a moment of war, perhaps you've noticed on media of all types, there are discourses on sunflower oil production, the risk on management of costs and productions. So it's an incredibly central discourse. And in fact, despite the pandemic, in a moment when all other industries or many other industries and sectors had an economic crisis, the food sector was not only surviving, but it actually throve. And there is just an incredible amount of job opportunities, certainly in Italy, which does food best, I could argue, with about 25% of Italy's GDP being dedicated for that. All right, so this is not a geographical lesson, but this is to really get you to reflect on the centrality of location. A brief introduction about Cattolica, largest private university in Europe. We are spread across 5 campuses in beautiful Italy. Perhaps some of you've been to some of these places, but here, this is not a tourist perspective that we're talking about today. We're talking about the centrality that Cattolica has always been responsive to the needs of the industries and the territory, which dictates much of what is taught. There is always a relation between territory and subject. Today, I want to bring your focus on 2 campuses specifically, Piacenza and Cremona, always up north in Italy. But why these 2 are we focusing on today? Because that's where we teach the agribusiness programs. Piacenza is at the heart of the Italian food valley, something easy to Google. Okay, if you've not heard of that term, become familiar with it. Piacenza is very fertile, it's ground historically because of 4 rivers crossing it. From the times of the Romans, medieval, ancient times, it's a very strategic location from logistics and is a central node for many of the import and export of also of foreign investments. It is the region, since we're talking about food, that it's in the region of Emilia-Romagna, Forbes recently named as Italy's greatest gastronomic treasure. We then have the jewel, the smaller town of Cremona, which recently opened a brand new campus, Santa Monica, consisting of roughly about 12,000 square meters of university buildings, laboratories, teaching rooms, along with a very big, also open green space close to the city center. Cremona has the highest GDP per region in Italy for the agribusiness sector, and is also, I found very interesting, home to the Cremona Food Lab. It's a research hub and a center for services to the agricultural companies in the area, supported by the Cremona Chamber of Commerce, as well as the city municipality. So you can see that it's not just the university teaching in its own bubble, but there is a constant relation between city, municipality, university, industry, all working together. And that is what you can access. You should access as a student here. So what to expect in terms of campus life? All of you have brochures and websites to understand the details of the programs, but what are the things that one doesn't say unless they don't actually come and visit? Then obviously you've got your students that, the students here today that can also contribute on any of this. Well, The student life in both campuses is quite different. I, for example, work in Milan. I know I can make a comparison compared to the Milan campus, for example. Student life consists of smaller classes. They're much more intimate, let's say, a friendly atmosphere. There's an excellent student-professor ratio. And again, you're coming for a postgraduate program. Having access to top professors is probably something that you'd certainly appreciate. Cremona and Piacenza up north, they are close enough to Milan. So all the international airports, all the cultural and buzzing student life, let's say the more glamour that Milan has, is something that you still have easy access to. We're just about an hour train ride away. But at the same time, you get the option, the benefit of having cheaper living costs than Milan. So in a certain way, you have the best of both worlds. And that's certainly something to consider. But now that you've got a bigger, right, so you've got a general gist of where we are in terms of, where we are location-wise. What about the school? What about the university and how it's recognized globally and in terms of jobs? Because most of you are probably going to be doing this either to continue with research or to actually launch your career or develop your career. So the School of Agriculture and Food and Environmental Sciences is one amongst 12 different schools. And this specific faculty, or school, I should say, is recognized within the top 200. Now, if you close your eyes and you think how many universities teach agriculture, certainly you've obviously gone to one because you've got a bachelor degrees in something similar. Well, if you think about it from a country level, if you think about it from a European level, if you take it to a continent level, in the world there are many universities. To be top 200 certainly is not so taken for granted. We as a university are ranked number 1 in Italy for employer-student connections, top 10 European. Now, does this mean a university can guarantee a job? The word guarantee doesn't exist hardly ever in life, certainly not for a university, but we're close to that. The school itself has an exceptional employment rate, over 80%. Find a job within 1 year of graduation. We certainly put you in touch. We play matchmaking between you and the relevant employers. It's not just any employer, it's the relevant, whether it's an SME or a multinational, you get access to it. If you're proactive, which is the key word, then you will have access to that. Now, just to give you an overview, also, if you're not familiar with the Italian higher education system, this is a good way. And we're going to go with obviously what the school has done. The School of Agriculture has invested in the last decade very much on internationalizing, which means not only having English top programs like the ones you see on the screen, but also in terms of also international students, in terms of collaborations. And we're going to get down to that when we look at the individual programs. But we have a bachelor degree fully taught in English in food production management. And then there are 2 types of postgraduate programs, a 2-year master's of science degree, which is very theoretical with a good amount of practice, but the academic research is very high. It does require a bachelor in a similar background. And it's obviously a full degree that can give you access to a PhD if that is something one day in your life you want to consider. If, however, you think, nope, I'm not into the research, I'm not into doing a thesis, I want to go with a 1-year program, then we have a 1-year Master's of Science in Viticulture and Enology. Okay, this changes, the imprint is very different, it changes on entry requirements, but it will not give access to a PhD. It's more of a professionalizing diploma. Now, again, don't get scared about this. You have websites, keep looking at entry requirements, talk to us at the international office if you are a little worried or concerned or have doubts what to choose, why to choose one over the other. But this is just to give you a macro idea of how much and what the faculty teaches in English, fully 100% taught in English. So let's start off, right, with the first of programs, Agriculture and Food Economics, 2-year Master's of Science degrees taught in Cremona. Now, the program is taught by SMEA, which is a graduate school specialized in economics and management of the agribusiness sector. So maybe some of you are used to talking about business schools. You've heard of your friend or your relative that's gone to do, for example, an MBA in a business school in a university. pretend that this is the equivalent, but for the agribusiness sector. So completely spot on. And I think the huge plus is you're surrounded by colleagues and networking of the highest level and many research stimuli. So you're not just going in with the younger ones, let's say bachelor degree. All right. Now you have the option to personalize your curriculum. This is a huge plus. As you can see, there are 2 tracks: marketing, consumer behavior, or business and management. Now, again, you're a postgraduate student. This is your time to specialize. And you can trust me that it's not so common to have a Master of Science degree in Italy with the option to really personalize your curriculum. And this is a huge plus. Classes, I said, were small, but they're international. There are our international students, but there are the ones, for example, like you, future students, but there are also those students that coming as part of exchange programs. So you have a very Italian perspective, very Italian university, but with an international class. Again, it's cool to have internationals, but if you're thinking work-wise, don't forget, this is your chance to start networking with what could be future partners of yours. International mobility, cultural IQ, is essential. It's not enough to have just a good degree from a good university. So the options to go study abroad are plenty. We're private university, will cost a little bit more. We're going to look at the tuition fees later, but this is why, because we offer services that perhaps are not so taken for granted elsewhere. All right. So if you want to look at the prestige of a university, look at who they also partner with. And we are very proud. So we have options to go for a double degree with Wageningen University in the Netherlands. You can also do the AFEPA program, which is the Agricultural, Food and Environmental Policy Analysis. This is an incredible opportunity. There's a consortium of 4 European partners in Germany, Sweden, Belgium, and of course us in Italy, and then 3 associate partners in Spain, Canada, and Chile. So literally spread across the world. And you have students spending, I think it's 1 year at 2 of the European partner universities, with the possibility of a short exchange visit to one of the other student-associated partner companies, universities, and therefore then obtaining a double degree. And the other thing, and last but not least, before I leave the word to a current student who can develop on any of these points as well, is practice is essential. You know this, I'm sure. Maybe some of you are already considering internships, but even when you have to do theory, a practical approach makes a difference. This program has business games as real life business challenges. So it's not just if you had to do this in a context, theoretically, what would you do? You do the real thing. And this is an incredibly interactive approach to teaching, which again, is not taken for granted on an economic program. But why don't we hear from someone doing it? Adriana, if you want to just come back on the virtual screen and we'll have a chat about the program, because I'm sure the public wants to hear from you rather than from me. Can you just, again, briefly introduce yourself, maybe say where you're from, your academic background?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Once again, my name is Adriana Macamo, and I am from Mozambique. And I have a bachelor's degree in economics, political science, and sociology from India.
All right, brilliant. Very international, and we love this already by yourself. So when we were having a chat, when we were preparing for this webinar, you said that you found your professors very supportive. And on my end, I've been working Cattolica for the last 10 and a half years. That feedback resonates with what previous students have also remarked. What other aspects of your course or university life are you particularly pleased about?
Okay. Yes, indeed, the academic environment is very good. And I will say that one of the aspects that I'm mostly pleased about the program is the balance between the technical side of agriculture, like food safety and hygiene, which is completely new for me, someone that has a background in social sciences, and marketing for agricultural products, as well as the policy framework. So one really gets to learn about the dynamics in the industry.
Okay, very interesting. So, since you mentioned some of these topics, food marketing, food safety, thinking about the tracks, I'm super curious. Have you started thinking which of the two tracks that the course offers, was it marketing, consumer behavior, or business and management? Which of these two tracks have you already decided what to do next year?
It was quite a difficult decision because
I
both
bet.
are very interesting. But I've decided to follow the business and management track, mainly because one of my long-term goals is to create a sustainable enterprises with inclusive agribusiness for marginal and vulnerable communities back in Mozambique. And I think that this will really help me in the future.
That hits a spot about, students coming all over from, from where you were to us in Italy, learn the best techniques, and then go back home and implement that. So full support on that. I'm sure we're all cheering you on in your for success in your dream. So what are you in more in detail? If you had to give a top tip to our audience, you saw we're getting followers from pretty much everywhere across the world. So think from an international perspective. If you had to think of a top tip of them coming over to Cattolica for their degree, what would you say?
My top advice is to come with an open mind and willingness to learn. I believe that this program applies to students coming from different backgrounds. I myself, I'm from social sciences background, and the program has been amazing to me. I'm learning really a lot. At first, I thought that it would be a little bit hectic because I wasn't, I didn't follow, I didn't have the background, but it's going well, and hence each will have, I believe that each will have a unique perspective of the agri-food industry dynamics. So just come with an open mind, and on top of that, willingness to learn as well.
Openness and proactivity. The world needs that, but I certainly, again, it resonates with what I've heard from other students. Perfection doesn't exist. And
Exactly.
the openness to take on challenges is definitely, I think, one of the key success ingredients for being happy here. And then being able to focus. So being proactive, being open-minded, and really going back to why you decided to come here. And hopefully you feel the support is there from staff, from tutors, from us of the international office as well. Thanks, Adriana. I'm sure students are going to have questions for you, but let's move on to the next slide. So thanks for sharing your experience so far. Great. So the next one is food processing. Now, the program title is Food Processing, Innovation and Tradition. And those are the two words I want to start off with because they're often used in marketing material, but without actually explaining their respective value. In the context of the food sector and this program in food processing, a sentence of the program director stands out when he was explaining the program to me, the 2-year Master's of Science degree. What is a tradition today was a successful innovation of centuries ago. In this case, I believe we were talking about honey because that is what gets produced and was produced by nuns in the Santa Monica campus when it used to be a monastery. Now that obviously still applies to everything that we're currently doing right now. The aim of the graduate program in food processing is to generate new food products in the wake of the Made in Italy tradition, because obviously that's one of the huge driving factors for Italian food exports is the Made in Italy products, Maybe some of you are using them yourselves, and with special attention to the new needs of the Italian and international consumers. So it's important to think about the relation between the two words and the message in relation to the territory. So why Italy, right? You could say, I do food processing anywhere. Why Italy? Have a think. Italy, you probably think of pasta, correct? That's probably one of the key associations, a stereotype that one thinks when they think of Italy. But did you know that actually Italy, which is the land of pasta, actually imports most of the flour for its pasta because we can't grow enough wheat. Even if every single centimeter on the Italian territory was dedicated towards growing wheat, we would still not have enough for how much we produce and how much there is request for it. Similarly, for confectionery and coffee, we don't grow cocoa beans and we don't grow chocolate here. Yet we have the expertise and the investment to process and make really good quality, exceptional quality, I should say, and safety level foods. And you should think about products as well, such as infant nutrition and food supplements. And again, bringing back to the discourse that there's not enough food for everyone in 2050, transformation of foods is essential for sustainability. I'm not saying we should eat insects, but that is something that's on the tables, right? People are talking about possibly eating insects rather than meat, or edible ice cream pallets rather than plastic. One of our research students has created that. Packaging as well. So Italy clearly knows how to do that well, and this program really hits the head on that. All students in final year have a thesis matched with a leading company in the industry. There is an incredible, I've heard so many success stories this year as I was talking to different students about students that have been matched with companies that have actually even got basically job offers before even finishing. Now, again, think about maybe you did your thesis in your bachelor degree. Maybe you had to do it through books. All right. Maybe you had to just do theory. Here, it's full on practice. It is taking all the theory you learned in 2 years and putting it into practice in a company that actually wants your project. And do you think that it's here there's no double degree options? Absolutely not. And in fact, Leonardo is going to be mentioning on that because he's going to go do it. There is a Master's of Science option with in Sustainable Food System at Isarine at Lyon in France. So again, keep moving, keep getting those options open. In 2 years, you get 2 different degrees, and that is a fantastic opportunity about this program. I'm very excited about the program. I'll throw it in there that the program director is a top scientist by the magazine PLOS Biology. So again, when you're thinking about academics, when you're thinking about your thesis, when you're thinking about who's actually going to be teaching you, you're getting it from absolute prestige, top researchers and top scientists in the world. But again, enough me. Let's talk. Let's hear from Leonardo. Leo, screen is yours. Let's have a chat. Ciao. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Do you want to give a quick, so I know you, but the audience doesn't. Do you want to give them a quick overview of what's your background, where you're from?
Yeah, I'm from L'Aquila. That is a city near in the center of Italy. And I studied science technologies on the bachelor, Teramo, that is a city near L'Aquila. And now I'm here in Cremona for food processing.
All right, thank you. So you studied your bachelor degree in Italian. Honestly, you could have chosen to continue in Italian with so many different universities, right? Let's say the whole Italian scenario was your option. Why did you decide to come to Cremona to study in English?
Well, I think that studying English will give you a completely different background because you will be able to apply in every part of the world. So you can go everywhere, and it's a solid background because the international university is evaluated in a positive way, like from the firm. And so this is the most important things. And in addition, English is a really important language in this sector mainly. Yeah.
So there are quite a few Italian universities, not too many, but some teaching in English too in this subject area. Why did you choose Cremona? Cattolica in Cremona.
Well, I think that Cattolica is a fantastic university, as you said, to all the data that we have, but mainly because the program is really solid. We have a lot of professors that came from industries, as you said, the Morelli, that is our professor that came, that is one of the most important scientists, and we have different interaction with firm, with some workshop, and we can make in practice the theory in laboratory. So we do a lot of laboratory exercitation, and these are the things for me. Yeah, I saw the Cattolica on internet, was fascinated by the program mainly, and it's real.
It's real. This is good. It was not just a fantasy. Fantastic. So you're saying there's a practical element. I'm guessing that's good. That's a favorite aspect of yours. I think you were mentioning, but it's better that you say it in your own words, also something about in the first semester you had company visits. Can you just spend a few seconds explaining to us all and to me again what that was about your field visits in the first semester?
Yeah, we do a lot of visit. Mainly we can go, but due to pandemic was not so easy. But now on second semester we are going to different firm or industry, like or some field to see how people, how farms manage their crops. That is also important. But we had a lot of workshop, a lot of firms that came in Cattolica to explain how the industry work, how this big world it's managed basically. And we had the possibility to go in this industry and see, visit the firms. And we have a professor in the second semester that is a head of an important industry. So.
Okay, so you're being taught not just by professors, but by industry professionals. And I think that's great, because when I've heard conferences with employers, they say graduates finish, but they're all full of theory, can't actually face the real world, don't have the know-how, but instead we're trying. It seems like the university is trying to get you, with less of a shock once you get into the industry of the world of work, because you already know everything that's happening in the trends, which is great. Thank you for that. We're going to come back to you again in the Q&A, I'm sure. So moving back nearly there to the final slides. All right. So sustainable viticulture and enology. If one thinks of Italy and thinks of pasta, then one thing they also think about is wine. How could we not have programs on wine? So the sustainable viticulture and enology is a 2-year Master of Science degree. So we're staying in the Master of Science degree aspect. Why wine in Italy? Why are we famous for it? Italy is the world's top wine producer. Many times one thinks it's France, but it's actually Italy, with over 50% of its production destined to global export. So as international students coming to learn about viticulture and enology here, you also need to learn how to interact with international stakeholders, because that's a key aspect of the course, making it particularly relevant for you who are international. Wine, since the earliest stages, has been produced and consumed a lot, but I thought it was interesting that a recent report in 2022, like just now, very recently, also was saying again how the industry is propelling forwards because of revenge spending. After the pandemic, people want to consume more. They want to feel liberated, and the sales of wine have shot up again. So there is a need. It's a very live industry to get into. So it's an Italian speciality, but an international dimension. You see, there's this conducting common thread amongst the programs. In 2021, we had 6 different nationalities inside and outside, and consider these are small classes, so it's a good diversity. But there were also visiting professors. For example, in topics of enology, you will have a outside European Union student, professor coming to teach as well. Again, here, practice constantly matches theory. You have an experimental vineyard. in Piacenza's dedicated facility. It's a brand new winery where you have a practical approach in making your own wine. You want to be sure that you have enough practice to make sure you're going to go produce your amazing wine, that it's actually good, as well as a sensory lab for exercising the pairing of wine and food together. So using all the 5 senses that you've got. So a lot of high-tech facilities there. Again, final year thesis is right. It's the jewel. Let's say it's the end of the 2-year programs. You can either do it on all those different sectors: pathology, viticulture, enology, entomology, wine marketing, genetics. I mean, really high level research. But again, you can also build your curriculum in function, in vision of your career. You have your thesis you have to do. That's an integral part of the 2-year program. But if you want to do elective models or doing an internship, and bear in mind that the professors have built a partnership of over 50 plus wine estate partners, very prestigious wine partners, then you've got that option to tailor it according to you. Do you think we could not have an option again to go abroad? Of course not. So there is going to be an option to go study abroad at University of Adelaide in Australia as well. So again, the option to keep moving and to keep internationalizing your curriculum is an option. Erin, let's hear from you. I know, as I said, there's quite a few American students. I'm really curious to hear sort of what's your take on a couple of things. So again, a quick introduction of you've had incredible curriculum. Do you want to just give you a quick idea of where you've come from? I know we're a bit running on time, but I do think the students should hear where you've come from.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone again. My name's Erin. I'm from the US, and I have a bachelor's degree in agribusiness. So it's not totally about wine, but after I graduated, I started working in wineries and traveling for the vintages. So I did the US, I worked in Argentina, New Zealand, and Australia before coming to Italy.
All right. That's quite incredible for such a young age as well. What pushed you? I mean, you clearly, as you've just said, been pretty much everywhere. You've traveled not everywhere, but you've worked in wine making as well, from different ends of the globe, from America to Asia and then to Australia. Ultimately, why did you choose Cattolica? The world was your oyster.
Well, I was always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to come back and study because I felt it was kind of holding me back that I didn't have the enology degree. But the US programs didn't really seem right to me. Maybe they were a little bit too expensive. Other ones were a little bit more like not serious enough, I could say. But I didn't know that there was this program available until the very end, basically. So I was just looking to come to Italy to work. And then I found this program and I thought it was a good fit for me with the mix of theory and practical, with the seminars and the labs and the field trips that we do.
I know you wanted to focus a lot on the scientific aspect of things as well. What's been your primary challenge, and sort of what have you done to overcome this? Because again, nothing is perfect. I'm sure international students face challenges. What was yours?
For me, the Italian education system is a little bit different than the US. So in the US, we have exams throughout the semester and projects to do. So you're kind of forced to stay on top of your lessons and your studying. Here, we just have the one final oral exam. So it's really up to you to keep on top of your lessons and to make sure you're not falling behind. So that way you're not overwhelmed at the end. So it took a little bit getting used to that. Also, the oral exam at the end was a little bit daunting to me, just for public speaking and all that. But you're allowed to sit in on the exam sessions before you, and I found that helped me a lot because I was able to get a feel for the style of the professor's questions or the things they're focusing on, and it just put me at ease. So if anybody is nervous like I am, I would definitely recommend sitting in on those exams. It really helps.
Thank you for that tip, because yes, international students, some of them struggle with oral exams. So thanks for giving a tip on how overcoming that, rather than just saying, "Hey, it's tough." There are ways. Take a leaf out of Erin's book and and copy that. Okay, so thank you. We'll get back to you in Q&A for that. Now, last slides to just wrap up and get some more of the information. There we go, slides. All right. Just because you need to know the full thing, there is a one-year specializing master program as well in viticulture and enology, completely different imprint, very practical approach to viticulture. For example, there are pre-courses available because viticulture and enology is not something that necessarily all of you knew from the age of 18 when you started university, or 17 sometimes. So maybe you've studied something else, you've discovered your passion later on. The pre-courses will bring everyone up to speed. There is a very strong field course, an ethnography course, which sort of really gets you into exploring scientifically and practically everything about, for example, the French and wine industry, the field course as well within a company. And again, internships, huge integral part, because you have to get the internships done. There's no getting out of that. And the internships are usually about 3 months, a minimum of 400 hours, and they can be done inside Italy or outside Italy. And again, often an internship will lead to a job offer because it's such a niche sector with such high quality of preparation of our candidates, that is something. And on our website, we have quite a few successful alumni stories. And I'm sure Erin is also going to be one of a successful alumna story. So well worth keeping in touch. All right. That was the overview of our programs. All right, just I did say that we had an incredible amount of opportunities for jobs. Just so you know, roles from our students have ranged from director to food process quality specialist to agronomist in very many different industries, as prestigious as the European Commission, right, to big major companies that we all know, Ferrero, Parma, Taushan. Maybe some of these are distribution companies also present in your own countries. And of course, the wine estates. The list is too long to put on a slide, but if you're curious, we can certainly get in touch and share more about that. If you are interested in applying for this year, deadlines are on the website. You've got QR code to go straight there. A couple of deadlines coming up based on whether you're non-EU or EU. The one-year master also has its deadlines, but it's not too late. So regardless of the program you're interested in, get in touch. And I think it's very interesting and a good opportunity for you. We know there's a lot of programs, a lot of confusion that you can have as you're looking at through many universities. Why don't you have a friendly chat with us? Me or my colleagues, we're also divided by area managers. So even sometimes in your own language, you can have a friendly chat with us. So just drop us an email and we'll get a Zoom call set up so they can really have a personalized call. Just because money matters. So tuition fee, again, all of this looks daunting. It's on the website. 2-year Masters of Science programs are split in where you are paying taxes. So not your nationality, but where your residence is. If you are a European student outside Italy, you have a tuition fee of 6,250 euros a year. If you're a non-European taxpayer, then that's just over 8,000 euros, so 8,690. But there are scholarship options, partial merit-based scholarship options that are tuition fee reductions, and these are evaluated. No separate application. You submit your application. We look at your merit, your score, your CV, your motivation letter, and then let's say if you're good enough to get in, because we're selective, then you're good enough to get a scholarship, and that will there's a pretty good chance of getting that scholarship through. If you are applying for the 1-year specializing masters, then you have a flat fee of 7,500 euros, but there are some partial scholarships as well there. Again, get in touch also to have a chat about living costs and all that extra information that you might want to share. Now that's us. I would rather much leave the audience to answer their questions. We did go slightly over time, but I'm sure, I promise we'll get all your questions answered. If not here, then over email. We're just a click away. So even if you're watching this on recording, get in touch and you will have doubts cleared. And even if it's anything about campus life, opportunities afterwards, we're more than happy to have a chat. So yeah, thank you very much for following so far, and happy to answer your questions.
Okay, that is the cue for me to read out the questions. Thanks already, everyone, especially for the audience, of course, joining in from all these parts in the world. We are going to the questions now. As mentioned, if we don't get to your question for maybe time purposes, do not worry. They're all recorded and will be sent through to the staff of Università Cattolica, so to Aisha and her colleagues. Let's anyway get started. Solomon has a question. Please, when is the next admission deadline for agriculture and food economics?
Absolutely. So I'm also going to send you a link, because if you forget the answer, then that's good. You to have something written. So the next deadline is May 19th. So if you are interested for 2022 entry, okay, so for this September, so it's just in a couple of days. We're not harsh on documentation compared to some other universities, so definitely get in touch, Solomon. If you are interested for this September, it's not impossible to get everything sorted in a few days. So May 19th for this intake. If it's for the next intakes, then we've got plenty of time. We will open up again around December, January for 2023 intake.
Okay. Hope that answered that question, Solomon. Great. Abdelman, if I said it right, asked, what are the documents required to apply for the master's degree?
All right. So we definitely need your bachelor transcripts. If you are still studying and you haven't finished yet, if you've already graduated, we need your transcripts plus your diploma. We need a motivation letter. Okay. And there's not a specific template as such, but you do need to communicate to the staff why this program, how is it in your future career ambitions, right? Because there are many universities with similar names of programs. So we want to know, have you actually engaged with the curriculum and have a honest critical reflection of why Cattolica? So don't write to please us, write what is the truth for you. That's usually my best tip on a motivation letter. It's all about having the right fit after all. So motivation letter, CV if you've got one. I also don't know what program you're interested in, so it's kind of hard for me to say that, but these are general, let's say, documents, and proof of English if you need it. I don't know where you're from, but if you haven't studied in English, you will need to provide, or at least show that you've signed up for one of the English language proficiency exams that we recognize.
Great. Thanks a lot. Question from Somoya, if I say that right. How important is mathematics as an eligibility in pre-education for the agriculture and food economics program?
Good question, and I wish more students thought about it. So well done for the question. Great one. I'm going to answer what I know, but then I'm actually going to ask Adriana too, because you know what? She's studying it, right? So Adriana can also confirm. A lot. Because it is agriculture and food economics. So the maths part of it, the numbers, you don't need to be afraid of numbers because you're actually going to be dealing at a master's of science level. Adriana, since you're doing it yourself, anything to confirm to that?
Hi, Soumya. You will definitely need maths for sure in order to survive quantitative methods and econometrics, but I'm joking. Yes, it is important. Basic knowledge will be very, very helpful. However, my professors are really kind and they really do help in, building confidence. So, but you must have some basic knowledge, please.
Yes. If you are concerned about it, you don't need to use this webinar as a defining moment. Send us your transcripts. Let us know. Let's have a chat, so we can guide you if it's well worth applying. But yeah, you need to be comfortable with numbers, definitely, for that program anyway.
Thank you. Great. I hope that answered that question. CD asked, interested to learn about the university. Well, I don't think there's a question actually there. Otherwise, let us know, CD. But good to hear you're interested. That is the important part as well. Yanira, though, has a question. The agriculture food economics, is that a Master of Science?
Absolutely. Agricultural and food economics, food processing, and sustainable viticulture and enology are, that's why we did them in those order as well. The three are Masters of Science degrees. So 2 years, 120 European credits, can give access to a PhD. Absolutely.
All right, good to hear. Marianne asked, I'm interested in cell biology and enology. Is that being taught?
Enology for sure. And you have two options there. You have the sustainable viticulture and enology program, the 2-year program, and the 1-year program as well. The second, I didn't quite understand the second subject.
I mean, I guess her question is if cell biology is.
Oh, cell biology.
Yeah.
Here, I'm also going to ask Erin. Erin, do you do cell biology and sustainable viticulture and enology?
I believe we're doing microbiology in the second year. So that we'll cover that for enology. And then we did advances in enology for our first semester, where we got into a bit of the chemistry and the general scheme.
Yeah, indeed, the sciences.
Great. All right. I hope that answered the question for you, Marianne. Otherwise, let us know. Matilda has a question about the study load. And is it possible to work as well?
So study load, I'm going to refer to the students. So I'm going to ask one of the students to answer. For the, can you work? Yes. If you are a non-EU student, like national, and you are coming here on a study visa, you can work up to 20 hours per week, part-time. Let me put, a disclaimer. That is, yes, of course you can. The feasibility of finding a job without Italian is hard. So if you are intending on working part-time, make sure you invest some time and some effort into learning some basic Italian. Because the university, the course teaches all in English, but you step outside and that's not necessarily the case. So we're not an English-speaking country. That's my top tip. And then it depends also on the program. If you're coming for a 2-year Masters of Science, you have some time to understand your workload, how everyone studies different in different ways. You figure out your schedule and squeeze in the work after. But if you're doing the 1-year program, it's going to be rough. That's 9 months of intense study and just 3 months internship. So, you've also got to bear that in mind as well. Does any of the students want to talk about workload? Erin or Leo, we haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. So
you're good. Workload is intense. If it's a 2-year, well, both cases, it's intense. And one way, I think students, you can confirm, one way of understanding the workload is looking at how many ECTS, European credits, are per module. Go on the website or pick up a brochure from, download it. And if you see, for example, 12 ECTS next to a module regardless of the program, you know that that's going to take up way more time than, for example, a module of 6 ECTS. So that's another guidance. Again, let's have a talk about this. Get in touch, okay? All right. Luke? Any more questions? You're on mute. Luke, you're on mute. Luke.
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay.
2 years of pandemic and lots of virtual stuff, and I know I still forget to unmute myself.
Yeah. So I was typing because I wanted to share the link with everyone. So to leave us with, that's what I was saying. So I'm sharing the link actually to the overview on the website, and actually we also have a link of a brochure. I will now show you the link on the screen of the overview of the website. So there you can find more information and look at it at your own pace. So if anything was missing, then check it out here, and you'll find, I think, pretty all information about at least the 2-year, what's the difference between 2 years and 1 year, and the list of the 2-year graduate programs as well. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Let's see if we do have other questions. I don't think so at this stage. Just to remind everyone, though, that we had questions for you. So we asked polling questions, which I see most of you have answered. So that's great to see. Thank you very much already. There were throughout the session several opening up. That helps, well, especially Aisha, of course, and her team to see where you're interested in, and come back to you and to help where needed. So that is greatly appreciated. And I think we have gone through all the questions.
Yes. And again,
yeah.
as Luke said, we will answer these. So any that we missed out, just because we are live and it's hard to manage 5 speakers altogether. I appreciate Luke's difficulty there for anyone. But if we've missed out any questions, I promise we're getting back over email in the next couple of days. So well worth submitting it.
Yes, actually, we did get another question in. I just want to take that. That might be a nice one to cover from Luciana. For Leonardo, and wondering, are there more Italians or very few? And how is your experience with international students? Leonardo, can you say something about that?
Sorry, the question was, I have a problem with connection, so
Okay, we do hear you. So you can just answer. If you are there more Italians in your class, I guess is the question.
Well, we are like a half, yeah. But we meet, we mix each other, so we are in touch, and it's beautiful to have this kind of relationship between international student and us.
Great, thank you. And yeah, I guess the last part, maybe the experience with the international students. Can you say something about that briefly?
Well, it's fantastic to know other people, our people from all over the world things, and I think that it has good exchange of things, and it's a way to grow up. Like, so it's for me it's fantastic. A fantastic experience being in contact with people, and for example, I have one friend here now that I. Still very connected with him that is Spanish, and I can speak Spanish too. So we make a friendship here. So it's good.
And you're going to France next year for the double degree. So yeah. Leonardo is not how do you say happy enough with the international experience to more that he's moving as well. So well done.
Wow.
Keep moving, keep that curriculum growing. Well done.
Great, good to hear. Well, thank you very much. So far we have answered the questions, so thank you very much. I have a last question for the audience, basically to know if you find the session useful. We'd like to hear from you if you all was taken care of somewhat or not really. Let's see. Hope that we did well. But do let us know. And this is, by the way, for everyone. So and then with everyone, I mean the live audience and also the people watching the recording. All of you can participate in this. So I know a lot of people these days watch the recording. So you can all still answer the pollings and also submit questions as mentioned. Yeah, that wraps up pretty much the session of today. So thanks everyone from my end. First of all, the audience, but also, of course, especially the students, Leonardo, Erin, and Adriana. Thanks a lot. I'm sure that was very appreciated by the potential students for next year or thereafter to hear your experience. And Aisha as well, thank you very much. Of course, maybe last word over to you, Aisha, before we round off.
Absolutely. Guys, this is hard. Getting so much coverage in 1 hour and keeping you engaged is not easy. That is why I promise if you get in touch, we'll get back. So don't let this be the end of let this be the start of a conversation rather than the end of it. So do get in touch. I know we all are Zoom fatigued and webinar fatigued. So, this is just to get you a couple of hooks. I hope it just stimulated into thinking in certain ways. But keep those conversations going. Let's get them started, personalized to you. So thank you for following if you did. And I very much look forward to connecting with you over whatever platform it is for you to understand whether we could be a good fit for you. For now, take care. And thank you, students.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Ciao.